my girlfriend was going to her car to pick up a few items before we were headed to the restaurant, and from a balcony, we heard an individual scream, "Go back to Africa, you don't belong here."
Race is a complex term and can be defined by nationality or religious affiliation.
I go into this restaurant to eat a nice meal with a friend, and then one of the waiters came and she's like, "Would you like chicken?" So I just looked at her and I was like, I was gonna say something, but I just let it slide. I was like, "No, sorry, that's wrong."
Race, I guess the best definition would be, in some cases I would say country of origin, but then, I mean, your country of origin can mean anything when it comes to your skin color too. So a lot of people, nowadays, race is mostly seen as your skin color, which isn't technically correct because there's like things such as white Jamaicans, there's Indians from Africa.
I have a specific example actually, happened actually within the last year and a half. I have a friend who's a female, and she's white, and we're good friends, and we were out for a walk in an upper class neighborhood, and we were walking, and I'm obviously black, and she was white, and this older gentleman man comes out of his house, and he was on his driveway, and he was kind of cleaning his car. We were walking beside each other, just talking, and he says, "What are you doing with that nigger? You shouldn't be with him." And I was very taken back by his comment. Obviously, he's cleaning off his very expensive car. He's in an upper class neighborhood, and it just, it struck me like, why is this still happening? Why is this still going on? And we just proceeded to keep walking, and I just ignored it and treated it as nothing.
So we were really upset about it. We went to the individual and confronted him about the situation and how inappropriate it was, considering what day and age we were in, and also how hurtful his words were and how we took it. He didn't really understand why it was inappropriate. It was kind of upsetting and frustrating not being able to get to him and help him understand that what he said was absolutely hurtful and wrong.
I think race has a lot to do with not only where you come from and like what you physically look like, but also your culture and how you have grown up.
Passion would be the societal limitation against individuals based on race or gender or some other socially constructed stereotype.
Racism is discrimination against different backgrounds because of your belief, your personal beliefs, or whatever you heard growing up about them.
So I'll give you a little background on my family. Is basically I'm the only black person in my family. It seems crazy. My grandparents, I had a white French grandmother and a black African grandfather, and I have my mom and my dad are light skinned, so like really light. And same thing, my brothers and my sisters, and I got the genes of my grandpa. So when I walk around with my family, I'm literally the only black person, the rest are light skinned, like really light. So one night, I went to a restaurant with my family, and when we got there was two booths. One booth, there was two old ladies, white old ladies, I would say they were about 60 years old, and they were sitting there. And I came in, I sat, but the booths were so low that when I leaned back, I touched the old lady, and she turned around in less than 30 seconds and started screaming offensive words such as niggers, or he touched me with a dirty nigger. And expecting that when I was an 11-year-old child, it was not something pleasant.
Racism is when you're prejudiced or you don't like people of a certain race because of certain stereotypes, and usually it has to do with ignorance and you don't really know really what
I've
they're
experienced
like?
racism a lot, more when I was a child. My parents experienced it way more than me, obviously, also. But I would say now it's become less because people try to hide the racism because it's seen as a wrong thing to do, whereas before it was, I think it wasn't technically wrong.
Oppression is one dominant figure in society that is trying to take away the rights and freedoms of the lower class of people.
Racism is hatred towards another group or another race.
My latest one, is sometimes like I find like racism is I'd say try to take it in a positive light a lot of times. But I remember I was going to a club one time and I was stopped at the door and told that I shouldn't come in because it's not my kind of party and that my group of people aren't here and I should go down the street to the reggae bar where people like that type of music. To be honest, I laughed it off. And I told him like I want to come in this place. Like if you guys don't want to let me come in, that's your business. I have money, so if you don't want to let me in, that's a whole different thing. But that was interesting. I laughed. People that were with me weren't too happy about it, but I mean, it's when you've dealt with it so many times, you tend to take it differently.
To start off with, I think defining race is a difficult thing to do with. It's hard to really come to a conclusion on what is race. To me, race is your heritage, where you come from, your culture, your skin color, and how you've been raised up. So for me, I would define my race as I'm African American. Even though I'm from Nigeria, but I live in Canada, I describe myself as being an African.
I have a particular kind of physical characteristics where in this culture wherein I live, I have been seen as part of the privileged group and have not experienced a great deal of, or have not felt that I have experienced a great deal of oppression or discrimination based on my physical features or
I
characteristics.
say race is different ethnic backgrounds.
I haven't necessarily been like discriminated against, but I have heard a lot of negative comments about like, oh, Mexicans are all like the legal immigrants and they're all like the special, like they're just coming here and being people's like slaves and illegal work and things like that. So I haven't been like discriminated or in that way, but I've just heard negative comments and stereotypes about different people, and I've heard a lot of stuff about other races as well.
I got into the club, so I mean, at the end of the day, but it's still it was still interesting that it happened to me, especially because it wasn't even from, like you would think it was from like a white guy's person, it was from a black person that said it. So that's what really threw me back, is like racism from your own race.
Stores that you go to, you have a student card, and so if you buy a student card, you get like an SBC card, then you get a certain discount on things. And a lot of times when you go to stores, they won't let you use the SBC card plus your status card. So throughout different stores, you try and use different cards, and they're just like, your status card is a discount, so you're not allowed to use this discount, but your status card is supposed to be a given right from the government. So different like family members have tried to use both cards, and then my mom has had to argue with different cashiers because they're trying to take away their right that the government was giving them.
Oppression is unfair treatment to any individual, basically.
Oppression is oppressing someone with power, like forcing them to do something that they don't want, or always making them feel uncomfortable and uneasy.
Between your own race is racism. Some people do it by accident, just because it's almost like a social norm, almost like a thing. There's racism between say, for instance, it could be between two white people that one white person feels like the other person's acting too black. And for instance, that for that reason, they don't want to talk to them, or they feel that they are, you know, they feel like they're not on the same par. They look down on them, or the opposite way of the one person that's feels like they act too black looks down on the other white person because they feel like they act too white, which I find happening a lot, especially nowadays. It's like everything went backwards. Now it's almost cool to be black, and it's almost not cool to be white. But I mean, what is the definition of being white? What is the definition of being black?
Race for me would be a classification of humans into groups. So whether it's linguistic, religious, cultural.
I define racism as hatred towards a person because of their skin color or the way they dress, look, or who they are. Having a hatred towards someone because of the person they